Okay, you recall that we did this by hand. It's not a difficult problem. It's a Math 119 question. I will say this, though. If you give this to a Math 119 student, they probably could not do the problem, all right? Um, it's not a difficult problem, no. But anyway, at the end of this, we found a solution to the problem. I'll write this down for you. We said x was equal to the natural log. In Sage, log is the natural log. And we said it's the natural log of 1 plus the square root of 5. Whoops, made a mistake already. 1 plus the square root of 5. Divide by 2. And that whole thing was divided by the log. And when you say log in mathematics, we actually mean the natural log, all right? All right, so I'm going to do bool, B-O-O-L. I want to see if it can do it. And we're going to see if this is true. So I'm going to say 2 to the x plus 4 to the x. I have not done this yet. Is that the same thing as 8 to the x? It's either going to be true or false, by the way. And so Sage says it's false. Now someone says, I wonder why Sage says it's false. I think the number one reason is Sage is not doing the computation. It's just simply writing down, what the algebra would look like without doing any work whatsoever. And that's a misfortune now. And I will say this, maybe it's because I don't understand how to use Sage correctly. But what I want to do is I want to compare it. I want to do a numerical approximation. So I'm going to do 2 to the x plus 4 to the x. And I'm going to hit return. It gives me really a long expansion. And what I want to do is I want to approximate it. By underscore means the output from the last command. The n is a shorthand for numerical approximation. And I get this number over here. And I also want to do 8 to the x. I want to show you what that looks like when Sage does the work. It writes this down. Now I want to point out, if you were looking at this and you were looking at this, you would clearly say they're not the same thing. And they're not the same thing looking at them. What I want to do is a numerical approximation. So I'm going to do that underscore, which means the output from the last command, and that dot n, the one numerical approximation. And what do I say? I'm seeing when I do numerical approximation, I'm forcing Sage to do some work over there. In appearance, they appear to be identical. All right? All right, so I want to point out, I'm pointing out some weak things in Sage that you might be confused by, and one is that Boolean operator. Again, when Sage does this, what it does is it writes it down, it writes this down, it looks at the two and says, are they the same thing? And they're clearly looking at the same things. What it's not doing, though, is going through all that work to show they're the same things. And that's a lot of work that we had to go through. And that's what we're trying to get across to you. Paper and pencil work is so important, your ability to do that on a piece of paper, right, with a pencil, of course. All right? Thank you so much for paying attention now.